Hey there, crew. I hope you watched the stories of Henry Matisse and also the video with my slideshow that we talked about the vocabulary terms and looked at some of the artworks that Matisse has made, some of his cutouts and some of his paintings as well. If you remember the vocabulary terms we're going to include in our artwork today, it is still life, an arrangement of objects on a table; portrait, a picture of a person or animal or both; collage, which is an arrangement of different materials together like scraps and cut paper; and then mise and abyme, which is a picture within a picture. So we want to include either an artwork within the artwork, or a mirror within the artwork, or a window within the artwork, or something so confusing that nobody knows which it is. So that's our goal in our artwork, to include those things, kind of like a checklist. So still life would be on the checklist, portrait would be on the checklist, mise and abyme would be on the checklist, and then did we do any collage? That would be on the checklist too. So if it was a true checklist, it would have a little box you could check off when you were done. So that'll show mastery of your new vocab and new skills. So then I'm going to flip it over because I don't want to do my artwork on my checklist there. So you'll get a paper, whatever color you want, whatever size you want, whatever works for you. Then for collaging, I have a bunch of different scraps, but you could also collage with magazines, with old photographs, with newspapers, with just about anything that you can get your hands on at home, that you have permission to use, of course, that you could cut and glue. That could be part of your artwork. If you want to start with the collage, you could go from there. If you want to do the whole thing in collage, you could do that too. And you could make a little still life, a little mise and abyme action, a little portrait action, and then you'd have it covered because it's all collage. But if you want to start with just paper pencil, you could do that too. So maybe I will start, keep it light till you get it right. Maybe I'll have a table coming in right here. Maybe I'll have the cool fish tank that Matisse had. Get the water in there. So this fish tank that he painted a lot was a cylinder, so it wasn't a true like bowl. He also liked to have vases of flowers, so you could actually recreate a work by Matisse if you wanted, or you could just come up with your own, or look at a real still life, or if you have a fish bowl of your own, that'd be pretty cool if you did your own fish. That'd be awesome. Let's see, I guess the table shouldn't be floating in midair. I'll have some, like a leg to it. And maybe I want a person kind of peeking out here. So kind of a Matisse-like person. It's kind of abstract. And maybe I'll have, ooh, I don't know. Maybe I won't tell you what this is. It's mise and abyme, but maybe I'll have different layers to it here. So maybe it's like a reflection. So maybe this one is a mirror. So part of the flowers are in there. The back of her head here. And then maybe you'll even see something that, like a doorway of somebody else coming in the room. Ooh, so that'd be like another portrait, but it's a reflection of the doorway, so a mirror there, that's mise and abyme. Maybe here it could be a painting or a window. Maybe there's like a barn outside, or a funky tree, abstract tree and flowers, and I don't know, maybe like a funky fountain or something that's spraying water out. So, could it be a window? Could it be a painting? You decide. And then you could cut out different shapes. Maybe you want like the wallpaper to have some of the funky shapes that Matisse liked to cut out. So I'm just going to kind of freehand cut. Like Matisse said in one of his stories, it's like painting with scissors. So I'm going to just try and cut out a funky floral coral reef type shape like that. And maybe I'll stick it right here. So this would be part of my collage, and if you didn't want to collage too much, you could just stick to one or two things, but I'm going to start with that. I like how the black pops off the yellow. Boom. And maybe I want to use oil pastel as well, so you can use a whole bunch of different art materials. That would make it multimedia. So maybe I outline some of my pencil. Maybe I add some line and texture. And just so I can see that fish tank, I'm going to outline that too. Oops, I just dropped my glue stick. Alright, and maybe I'll do a little painting too. So to get that water, I might use a little turquoise and paint that in there. Now the turquoise, that first layer looks a little green. I wonder why. Do you think it's because I'm using blue paint on a yellow paper? So again, remember, blue plus yellow makes green. So with the temper cakes or watercolor or any type of paint you use, you might have to do multiple layers to get it to really look blue. And to make it look like it's reflecting in that glass, I might clean my brush really, really well, load it up with a little white, and then I can mix right on the paper to make it lighter blue. Maybe I'll come up into the glass cylinder as well to make it look transparent. Ooh, I'm liking that. I'll rinse, get a little more white for a nice bright reflection. Boom. All right. Then I have orange paper here. I think I want to draw a goldfish on there. And I might look at Matisse's painting or drawing too if I want it to be exact, but maybe I'll draw one of those fish on there. Cut it out. And then I could glue it and stick it. Once the paint's dry, I could glue it and stick it right in the fish tank. And I have a different color orange, so a variety of different oranges. Maybe I want to be kind of kooky and make one that's jumping out of the fish tank. And I'm using a blue oil pastel on orange paper because if I remember from the Harvest Still Life with Chalk, we learned about complementary colors. So blue and orange mixed together made our shadows. But when it's side by side, it pops and looks its absolute brightest and best. So maybe I want to use other complementary colors in here as well. So I have blue and orange. Maybe next I want to, I'll have them jumping out when I glue it later. Maybe I want to do something with the yellow paper. So if I wanted contrast with the yellow paper, what color would I use on the yellow? The opposite of yellow, violetta purple. So maybe I'll do another funky Matisse cutout shape. And if you remember from one of the other stories, the mermaid and parakeet, you could do a mermaid or parakeet cutout, or maybe a mermaid is your portrait, or maybe the parakeet is your portrait, or maybe there's a parakeet or mermaid outside if you're looking into a window or a work of art, and that would be like mise and abyme. And I might decorate that with a little texture because I think that bright green would look pretty good, and I'll just put it right there. I'll glue it later. And maybe I will add some more oil pastel. I'll just put some lines in there. Maybe her outfit's gonna have a funky swirl in it. And then you can paint right over that oil pastel with the wax resist technique that we know. So maybe I'll get a little red to go over that green. For complementary colors, green and red are complements. And then if you want to add details later on top, if you paint with red and then you let it dry, you'll be able to paint more layers on top, or collage on top, or even add oil pastel or other materials on top too. So don't feel like, oh, you painted it and now you can't do anything more to it. Nope, when it dries, it's already even starting to get dry. You could put oil pastel details, or you could collage and glue on top as well. And watercolor and temper cakes dry pretty quick. So, I think you kind of understand where we're going here. We want you to incorporate all of the vocabulary that we were learning in the slideshow and about Henry Matisse. So, in your artwork, try to have an example of still life, an arrangement of objects on a table, portrait, an image of a person or animal, or both, a mise and abyme example, which would be a mirror or a window or a work of art on the wall, or maybe it's all three, and you can confuse the viewer and whoever's looking at your artwork. And then collage is the last one. So of course with collage, you don't have to use scrap paper like I did or like Matisse did. You could use newspaper, magazine, found objects, maybe even leaves from outside or different things that you find. So be creative, use those vocab terms, and then if you make a checklist like I did, afterwards you can check off all the boxes. And luckily, I would be able to check them all off because I used collage, still life, mise and abyme, portrait, all of them. So have fun, be creative, and be a little bit like Matisse. Be the king and queen of color, but also of collage, still life, portrait, and mise and abyme. Adios, amigos.